I can't do this.
Sure you can. Who knows, you might like it. It's a killer rush.
Bodhi, this is your f***ing wake-up call, man. I am an FBI agent.
I know, man, isn't it wild?
Hello everyone and welcome back to the movie calendar. My name is Lee.
And my name's Terrence.
And this week we're going to be talking all about Point Break. That's right, Kathryn Bigelow's action classic from 1991. Super keen to talk about this film. How about you, Terrence?
I'm super keen to talk about this film, Lee. Yes, I am. I'm going to also mention here, for those that can see me, yes, different background. I'm in a different area, testing a different setup. So hopefully it's okay. Don't let this throw you. Hopefully it sounds okay. But, you know, it's 100% pure adrenaline here.
whilst we are talking to the people who are watching us on the YouTubes, rather than those listening at home on their favorite podcast app of choice in the audio only format, I'm going to have to play a bit of theater of the mind with you, because I need to actually take off my glasses.
Glasses?
So yeah, I can show off my haircut as well that I promised that I was going to do last episode too.
You actually promised that you were not going to do it.
Yeah, I know. Looks like my ego couldn't be kept in check as much as I thought it could. I actually got a new prescription with my glasses, and so I have a change. We're going to keep the opening graphic the same because I think it looks awesome, but continuity be damned, this is going to be the norm going forth until my prescription changes again.
Oh, no, that feels weird now, Lee. I don't know who I'm talking to. You're like a stranger now.
It's the same old excitable movie buff in front of you. The only thing that's changed is the glasses and, of course, the fly new haircut.
Well, let's say the glasses. Sure.
Yeah, true.
Nah, good do. That's nice. Do people say that? Good
awesome.
Do? I don't know.
I've never heard those two words next to each other before in my life.
Like,
but well done.
Hairdo.
Oh, no.
Nice glasses, Lee. Nice. Looking pretty fly.
Yeah, well.
Sorry.
I don't know why that's the word I went for with my hair. I'm just as embarrassed as probably you are, and the people listening or watching at home, so I can only apologise.
Well, lucky that's not what they're here for. If they're here, we're going to talk about a really cool film.
Yes. And also before we do, I always forget to do this at the beginning, mostly because people will discover it if they want, but it's probably worth a mention. We are on Twitter and we are on Instagram. Our handle is @themoviecal. Our website that we have is themoviecalendar.com, and you can also send us an email for any kind of feedback or contributions to the episodes to themoviecal@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All of those are in the description below, along with time codes as well. I'm not sure how time coded this one's going to be. It's kind of on the fly. I've got a few notes, including one really cool piece of trivia that I happened to come across, which I'll sort of dot in somewhere here. I want to talk about the production of the film, kind of how it got made and what happened during the filming. Definitely going to be talking about Keanu Reeves. Definitely going to be talking about Patrick Swayze. Just sort of gushing over this this really cool action flick, which I hadn't seen for years, and I'm glad we're adding it to the calendar.
Yeah, 92, 91. Yeah, it was actually released in
91.
Australia on January 1st, 1992.
Correct.
Believe it or not, that's I just realised that. Yeah, so I class this as a 91 film.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Really love it. Not one for... Well, actually, I'm not going to say that at all. I don't mind sitting back and just being entertained by stuff like this. This had it all. Surfing, guns, bit of politics in there. A nice...
with the ex-president.
Nice, right, yeah. Nice, yes. A nice ride on spirituality and meaning of life. Crime...
Bank robbery,
bank robbery, some fighting, a bit of football, had it all.
Yeah,
had it all.
What more do you want?
Good Aussie representation.
Yep, it's awesome.
Yeah,
no, this film's really cool. We'll also at the end of this episode, because you already know listening at home, because everyone watched the Get Out episode last week, that we've announced our lineup for the November releases. So you know what films they're going to be. We did tease that we're doing something amazing for December, which we're super excited about. So we're going to give a little tease at the end of the episode, which will be down in the description below, time-coded that is, as to what's happening in December. But yeah, keen to get into all of that. But without any further ado, Terence, with your permission, can we jump into Point Break?
Permission granted. We can. You
Awesome.
should
Let's
say,
do
should
it.
we drop in? That's a surfing.
Should we
term.
drop in? Should we? Yeah. No. Don't
good.
drop in and cut people off. That's a bad surfing.
Dropping in is not good. This film had dropping in as well.
Yes. Not okay to cut in on people that are surfing. Keanu Reeves, you should know better. But no. So Point Break, episode 22, directed by Kathryn Bigelow, who people will know from The Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30. She's been in the game for a long time, and yeah, this was kind of her big break, I think, into directing, with her producing partner and ex-husband James Cameron, starring Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze, Gary Busey, Laurie Petty, and John C. McGinley, who I completely forgot was in this film. He is just an absolute treasure. Him in everything, please.
Was this? But this was way before Scrubs, wasn't it?
Yeah, well and truly.
His Scrubs character was probably inspired by this one, right?
He kind of plays
Is this him?
similar characters in everything, which is like so against who he is, as far as I'm aware.
Really?
As a human being, yeah, he's super sweet and nice, and championing his fellow performers, and just the complete opposite of his like fly off the handle, go on rants persona that he portrays in
he does it
in
so
cinema
well.
and television.
Super sarcasm.
He nails it.
Yeah, and
Yes.
quick. He's such quick, sharp delivery. I'd love to think. I kind of convinced myself that he ad libs half of his lines.
It sounds like it, right?
I don't know. I'm just going to give him imaginary props that he does that. I think he's anyone that can deliver the spoken word that skillfully and concise or precise, I think has the ability to think it up on the fly as well.
Yeah, like during his opening scene in the film with Keanu, where they have that kind of walk and talk where he kind of exposition dumps everything that you need to know about Johnny Utah.
Yeah.
I was thinking, has he ever been in something written by Aaron Sorkin? Because he'd be really good at that.
Yeah.
He's got that kind of real, sharp, quick
Yeah.
sort of speech patterns, and just the way that his dialogue flows sounded very Sorkin in that scene. So I don't know if he has. He might have, but if he hasn't, I'd love to see it.
He definitely would make it work. Yeah.
But yeah, so Point Break is all about Johnny Utah, one of the coolest names in cinema, and he plays an FBI agent who goes undercover in a gang of surfers because he has a suspicion that they're also bank robbers. And if that's not the most 90s description for a film, then I don't know what is. But yeah, as Terence said, it is everything that you want, and it's super fun.
And it's not his suspicion. What's Gary Busey's character's name?
Is it Pappas?
Pappas. And
Pappas?
his first name. I don't know his first name. I wrote it down.
Doesn't matter.
It's
He's Gary Busey.
totally
He's just playing Gary Busey.
different first name that I expected at all. Yeah, so it's his, and it's such a weird thing that he's been sitting on this idea for so long, and everyone laughs it off. But it's totally believable. Why wouldn't they believe him?
Yeah.
Especially with all the evidence.
No.
The
With the wax?
the surfboard wax. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know if that was
Sex
just
wax, a real thing, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just of the time. Like, I don't know when sex wax became a thing in surfing. When I was in school, I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was a joke because I didn't surf. I bodyboarded as a kid, and I discovered this. I thought it was just a sham product. Yeah, but I don't know how long it was around.
No.
But it looked like some nice product placement there anyway.
Yeah. It's good
Just an
stuff.
excuse to put it into the script. But I thought, yeah, that was relevant. And when they found the sand, like, yeah, this works. It was cool.
The whole conceit to this film, and how it got made and how it came about and how they got the script, is super funny. And I'll get into that when I talk about we'll do a section called like producing or production or something.
All right.
Talk about one of the producers, but yeah, where would you like to start, Terence?
Well, should we do a little bit on the characters? It's only really
Characters sounds good.
maybe just a couple. I mean, the other characters are the ones that kind of push them along in the story. like the
Yep.
the female lead,
Tyler.
yeah, Tyler. You know, that she's obviously there for a reason to help Johnny with his journey. But why don't we start with Johnny, who comes on the scene as a, what is he? He's just a new to the agency, right? Is he?
He's a recruit. He was recruited out of
the academy,
college. Yeah.
He's a sharpshooter.
Yeah, fresh. Yep.
He's
You don't miss.
John Wick in training. That was his audition for John Wick, I'd imagine.
Yeah, you can kind of see the seeds of John Wick being placed in that training scene of him in the rain at the beginning, shooting, you know, all the guns.
I wonder how much
the cardboard cutouts. And
I wonder how much that played a part in his in the guys who cast him in deciding that he was going to be right for this. Yeah, we've seen him shoot. But so he comes in fresh. He's got a bit of an ego in that opening scene with is it McKinley? McKinley's character. Yep. You know, he's not intimidated by him at all. You know, following him around, he even grabs a donut he assumes is for everyone. Yeah, he's the newest one, and he'll eat one. And what does he say? He says something like, what is there, a shortage of assholes? And as he walks off, I don't think so.
It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, he knows his stuff. So he's a smart guy. He's confident. He knows what he wants. He knows his path in life is FBI. He's going to catch bad guys. But he's thrown this curveball and introduced to the world of surfing, which is
he's kind of got that like young, cocky, you know, I can do anything attitude. I kind of would have loved to have seen him get maybe knocked down a couple of pegs, because I really don't find that attractive in characters to see on screen. Like, you've got to have confidence and that's all fine, but like just that cockiness, I'm like, that can go. Not my favorite character trait, but again, it's very early 90s.
Yeah, and I think they tried to do that with his learning to surf. That was pretty much it. Learning to surf and not winning head over heels adoration from the love interest at first glance. You know, even at his second try, he had to actually fully lie to her to win her over, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they tried to.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah, I think they tried to show him being knocked down a few pegs with the waves. You know, that this is nature. You are one with nature. You can't fight it. You got to learn how to ride with it, and it'll. What does that kid in the surf shop say? Surfing is its source. Surfing is its source.
It'll change your life, dude.
It'll change your life, yeah. That kid I recognise as well.
He's not wrong.
And it did change his life. He was almost like the... and I'm trying to think of other films where there's this wise person in passing and he says something, and from that moment everything changes. So that was that kid in that surf shop. Uber wise, who's been surfing all of his life. All 12 years of it. But yeah, I think it was interesting because this poor character finds this really cool guy that he could be his best mate, father figure, guide through life, whatever you want to call it. And it shocks him just as much as it shocks Bodhi that he's an FBI agent. It shocks Johnny Utah as much when he finds out that Bodhi's actually the bad guy.
They find out that they're enemies.
Yeah.
After they've built this beautiful relationship with one another.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It's really interesting. I'd love to talk about Keanu Reeves himself, because we know him now as this like huge Hollywood action star. It's kind of hard to put yourself in the position of being in the 90s, in the early 90s, and this kid being, you know, fresh, like a nobody essentially. Like the biggest movie that he did before this was Bill and Ted. Was Bill and Ted just before? Yeah, 2 years before. Wow. The first Bill and Ted, or the second? Huge, yeah. The first Bill and Ted, yeah. And so that's just who he was. He was that kind of like, you know, for lack of a better word, just, you know, like dumb kid. You know, absolutely not an action star. And so the trust that like Kathryn Bigelow and the production team had in him doing it. In fact, it was Bigelow's fight for him that got him the role. Like, before it got made, there was people like Charlie Sheen and Johnny Depp were like very much in consideration for the role of Johnny Utah. And it was Kathryn who really fought for Keanu Reeves to be in this film, because she just saw something and she was right, because, you know, he is now Keanu Reeves as we know and love. Without this film, there is no Speed. There's no The Matrix. There's no John Wick. Like, those just don't happen with Keanu Reeves without Point Break. So I just wanted to shout that out.
Yeah, nice casting, and then to put him opposite Patrick Swayze, who was just, he's so dreamy.
And the embodiment of cool and charisma.
Yeah. I don't know why, but when I think of Swayze, you know, obviously, look, Dirty Dancing, I actually wouldn't mind watching that soon sometime. I saw a feature on it not long ago, and they shared a lot of stories about the production and things that Patrick did during the filming as well. But, you know, I love him in lots of stuff, in Donnie Darko, as well. But I'm not used to seeing him play a real bad guy. But he didn't see himself as a bad guy.
No, he's one of those bad guys that when you watch as a cinema audience member, that you kind of hope will win. Like, you hope that he'll get away. Like, you're kind of on his side. Yeah.
Well, it's because he's opened up to Johnny, you know. We've become a friend with him as well. You know, we see him as a threat because the first time we see him, he's this amazing surfer, and we're introduced to him as being a free spirit, and he's always searching for the perfect wave. And you get the feeling he's just good at everything that he does. He has the best relationships. He's got amazing friends. That's what I meant with relationships. Such strong binds that he can create. He seems a lot older in his friend circle. So he is. We were talking before we started recording. He's like a father figure. So I think that's a sense of wanting to be around him. He has this aura about him, because he also has this philosophy on life that, you know, we're not part of the machine. We're free. We're human. Human spirit has to be free. So we want to follow him. We want to be in his footsteps. And this is where I think he was pivotal to Johnny Utah's character change, because and full spoilers, we haven't given a spoiler alert, have we? Because everyone knows. When Bodhi disappears at the end, Johnny has no need to be an FBI agent anymore. He throws it in, and it's like his whole career from start to finish was just to be connected to Bodhi, and that was it. Now he has no reason to be in the FBI. He can now live his life as a free-spirited human being.
He's no need to be part of the machine anymore.
No, exactly. And what a part of the machine. You're part of the FBI. You're part of the penal system, you know. This is a big deal, a big cog to be a part of. So, you know, it's nice. It was a big... this is where I never know the terms. Coming of age, it's not coming of age, obviously, but it's a self-discovery film. Where he totally
Johnny Utah goes on a journey of self-discovery and learns that what he knew his life to be could be more. And that's all through the catalyst of the character that is Bodhi. He, like, not as much as an impact on Johnny Utah, but like Bodhi had a real impact on me when I was a teenager. I saw this film, and I used to surf and skate and hang out with all that crew. I lived on the beach for many years, and like Bodhi's philosophy hadn't really been shown in film, like in mass media like this, as a thing. Like, it just didn't exist. Anytime you saw a surfer in a movie, they'd be that, you know, stoned, oh hey bro, what's going on, we're going to drink beers and do this. Like, there was never really the spiritual side of it was shown. So this was hugely changing. for that conversation to be had, and you know, surfing was booming into this giant phenomenon, and a bunch of people went out after this film and kind of took it up. It was really nice to see, because there is such a spirituality to it, and connecting with the ocean, and how there's such a balance with the ocean of it being so beautiful and yet completely unrelenting and unforgiving. It's a really nice juxtaposition, and yeah, I myself see a lot of humanity in the ocean, and so yeah, I've always connected with this film on that level, which is part of the reason as to why it means so much to me, I guess.
Yeah, there's so much to be said about surfing, and you're right. Like before that, the surfer character was totally caricatured, and to not be taken seriously. Even in Bill and Ted, I mean, Bill and Ted weren't surfers, but you know, you kind of get the idea that they could easily be surfers if they weren't so lazy.
Yeah,
but you know, they speak the same way. You know, not seen as part of respectable society by anyone considered to be quite conservative. So, you know, this did give surfers. I won't say give surfers a good name, because
well, no, they're literally playing the villains of the story.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But they were given a history and a backstory, and they were given proper motivations. They were well developed characters, which was super cool. Yeah, and through Patrick Swayze, general cinema audience members were given a lens into what it is like to be in this world. Taking all of the bank robbery aside, a lot of the philosophical things that he was talking about are so true, and I think they're awesome.
Well, a lot of that was given in the scene at his party, right, when they were outside by the fire. That was a very big, you know, similar to, how do you describe it? There was when in the opening sequence where Johnny comes into the FBI, they do this. What was the word? Exposition. Yeah, it's very didactic, and they just hear this. That was kind of how I saw that campfire scene on the beach, where they're talking about the reason for living. It was like, oh, okay, now we know why. Thank you for telling us all in this really cool looking scene, and masking it with just blokes chatting about big wave surfing.
But that's what they do. Like, it was so real. Like, that's what they're about. There was in the bonus features of Point Break that I watched this week, one of the gang members, one of the actors playing the gang members, which two of them were actors and two of them were real surfers.
Which gang are you talking about? Bodhi's gang?
Bodhi's gang, yep. Two of them were real surfers, and one of the surfers was like, it's such an interesting thing, surfing, because you will literally have a moment that lasted maybe 5 to 7 seconds of your life that you will literally talk about and tell stories for hours on end, forever, for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
He's like, it's such an experience, you know, being inside a wave and watching it sort of come over the top of you, and like he's right, like it's absolutely true. Like, in that culture, you will do something that will just completely overwhelm all of your senses at once when you're inside a wave, and then when you've done with that session, you go back and you talk about it for the rest of that night, for the rest of that week, for the rest of that month and year, and all the rest of your life. You will always have that story. And so, like, that's just what it's like. So yes, whilst it's heavy exposition and we get to know these characters, it's so real and true to life.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, when you put it like that, I mean, I grew up with the beach as well, and right now I'm thinking about some experiences that I've had, and it's like it happened yesterday. But a couple of them happened when I was a kid, and the emotion behind it is just unbelievable. It's so vivid. You're so vulnerable in this world, you know, and that's where, when you're on a wave, especially a big wave, you realize how minuscule you actually are, and how powerless you are. Yeah, it is.
It's true.
It is very, very spiritual for a lot of people, and that's why a lot of people take to it and stick with it for life. You know, Johnny comes when he comes back into the agency and he's carrying his surfboard. Come on, man, what are you doing? And he says he can't leave it in the car, right? The door won't close. He can't lock it.
I can't lock it if I leave it in the car.
But you know, and he says, "Oh, you've been surfing?" Yeah, every day. Like, oh, that was quick. You do love it. This has changed you. Yeah, and leading to, for me, one of the most notable lines in the film. After, I can't remember McGinley's character's name. He's the chief or something. I don't know. Goes on his screaming tirade at how they've been on this case for a while and they've got nothing to show for it. And he says, have any of you got anything interesting to tell me? And he's standing there and they're all having a good think. I caught my first tube this morning.
So
yeah. No, so he's totally changed. I don't know if he was Bill or if he's Ted. I can never remember.
Same, no idea. His name's, McGinley's name is Harp.
Harp.
Yeah.
Because that's all he does. He just does non-stop. He harps on. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what we're talking about anymore, but yes.
There's so many cool quotes. We were talking about Patrick Swayze and the spirituality of the film because it's not just heavy action and, you know, bank robberies and guns and violence and like all that's in there. But yeah, I really like that there's this layer of spirituality behind it. And I'm not sure if that would have been the case had there been a different director.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think, Kathryn Bigelow's really got a finger on the pulse when it comes to that, as well as helming incredible action. I'd love to talk about some of the set pieces in this film because they're just awesome. Like especially that foot chase between Bodhi and Johnny, and like how they did that is super cool. Like
early days,
I don't know. Yeah,
early days parkour,
like a proper foot chase that like lasted this long and was this cool in a film until Point Break. Like they just used what they call a pogo cam, where they had just essentially like a stripped down camera on a stick, and they were just able to like run it through the streets and pass it through windows and over fences and you know, run backwards and forwards with it. Like super early steady cam days. And like it made you feel like you were in there. Like it was also visceral and so heavy.
Great movement. Great movement.
Yeah.
And also there was a scene just at the beginning of this chase. You know, they're in the petrol station. And Bodhi has just torched the car with fuel.
Yeah. Get rid of all the evidence.
Oh, and did you recognise when he kind of douses the attendant, the service station attendant in fuel? He sprays him with fuel. And I kind of
holds the lighter.
I gasped a little bit. I thought, he doesn't burn a dude, does he? But he says, "That's it. Now you got to run."
Very Reservoir Dogs-esque.
His way of saying, "Get out of here. You're going to get hurt. You better run." And he gives him no choice. Yeah, I don't want to be burned alive. I thought, wow, that was very smart. Very smart. Very nice too. Good way to clear the area. But what I'm getting to is they start running very soon after that, and Bodhi runs down a little alleyway between the fence and the building, and the camera turns back to Johnny Utah and gets him running up this really tight alleyway, and in the background you see the explosion of the petrol station. I just thought that was unbelievable. That wasn't awesome. CGI. At least I don't think.
That was really done. I almost wish that they didn't cut back to the petrol station then. I just wish it would have stayed in that alley.
Yeah, they didn't need to. Because it cuts back
and you see the petrol station on fire. I'm like, if it had just stayed there and you saw it, like, we're a smart audience,
it was enough.
Right? We can piece things together.
Yeah.
Watching it this week, I was like, that is amazing. And then it like cuts to the petrol station. I was like, oh, I knew that's what it was. You didn't have to show me.
Something else could have been blowing up right then. You don't know.
Yeah, who knows? It's Los Angeles, right?
Anything. There are wars going on all over the place. Yeah, you're right. But
crazy.
Look, it was the 90s, early 90s. So, you know, might as well have still been the 80s. Maybe it was still... Was it still shot in the 80s? They would have shot...
I think it was shot in 1990.
Right? Oh, yeah, of course. 90 became 91. Came before 91.
I think it would have been shot in 90.
Yeah. Well, it might as well have been the 80s. Anyway, Yeah, they had to make sure with the storytelling that we knew as an audience.
Yeah. But no, that whole foot chase obviously climaxes with one of my what about whens, which I'll do it now, and I'll do it again later because why not?
Do it.
It's obviously when they run into the. It's not a dam. I don't know.
They're the canals. They're the runoff.
Yeah, the concrete canal,
stormwater.
which is I think the same concrete canal that is in Terminator 2,
And
Judgment Day, that Arnie's bikes down and
jumps
chasing
over
down
the
T-1000.
And I think definitely this is what they use in Greece as well. I totally made that up.
Same canal?
I don't know if it's. I totally made that up, but it wouldn't surprise
I honestly,
me.
I think that it is the same one from Terminator. I don't know if it's one from Greece, but I'm fairly certain that it's the same one from Terminator because James Cameron is a producer.
Oh, on both.
No, well, James Cameron directed Terminator.
He directed Terminator. He was executive producer on this. I saw a thing a while back that same canal system, or at least that same strip, is used in many films because
it's probably the one that's used in Drive.
Yes, yeah. I think it's got that because it doesn't fill up as much as the other ones, and it's really wide and it's accessible and all that. Anyway, yeah. All right,
but it's super cool. But yeah, all culminating in the air when Johnny sort of jumps down, and we know that he's got a bung knee because he blew out his knee playing football in college. And so that was his career over, so he joined the FBI instead. So yeah, he jumps down and smashes his knee, tries to get up to keep chasing Bodhi, who's not actually Patrick Swayze in that scene.
What?
We'll talk about in just a sec. Yeah, I know, right? It almost ruins it, but if it was ruined for me, I'm going to ruin it for everyone else. And yeah, he holds the gun up to Bodhi, who's careening up a fence, and freeze, and he can't do it. His love is just too strong. He's connected with this man so much over the past, I don't know, few weeks, I guess it's been.
Bros.
And he can't shoot him, so he just angrily aims his weapon in the air and starts unloading bullets. Iconic. It's so iconic.
I always think of where bullets come down. Sorry.
Wasn't there one that came down at a cricket game in Australia one year? I think so.
In Australia? Who's shooting guns in Australia?
No, like decades ago. I think there was a story of a bullet falling into hitting a player, not hurting them, but yeah, just someone fired into the air and landed in the stadium.
Wow.
I don't know the validity of that. It was one of those tales that's told when you're in school.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's true or not. It sounded cool at the time, and it's something that lodged in my brain when you said that.
Well, poor Johnny. And that is what gives Pappas the thinking of, you're too close, you're a sharpshooter, you never miss your shot, you unloaded your weapon, you chose to not shoot him. Something's going on. Yeah.
What I tell you, I missed. No, you don't.
You don't miss. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, I totally forgot that he had a bad knee already.
Yeah.
That's where they're at the beach, right? At that night footy match. I'll say footy. Night football match.
Yeah.
And they all recognise him. I was a bit worried in that scene, actually. I thought, are they putting this on, or do they actually recognise him? Like, is he a real football star?
Yeah, Bodhi knew. He knew who he was.
Bodhi knew, okay. And see, this is where in that football game, there was always that tension. And of course, when Johnny Utah takes him out into the surf and tackles him, I was thinking, this is bad.
actually blew out Patrick Swayze's knee in that scene.
Really?
Yeah, like really badly. They said that it was like 4 times the size of a normal knee, and they just have a doctor come in and like drain it of its fluid, and then the next day he'd just shoot again, and they just do that every day until he got better.
I think there was something similar in Dirty Dancing because he has a bad knee.
Really?
Yeah, and he kept doing. There was a scene where he was jumping off the stage at the end in the big dance, and he had to jump off the stage again and again and again and again, and he was saying, you know what, this is going bad, and they said, we just need it one more, and he did that last take and they got it, but it was the worst one. He couldn't stand anymore, but they got it on that last take. So he's dedicated to his craft.
That hurts.
And I'm guessing, I wonder if it was the same injury, the same recurring thing, if it was already a weak knee. Probably was.
I don't know. It might have been.
What is it with knee injuries in this film? Anything else happen?
I don't know. Well, one is written in, and the other one
it's in the script.
is actually happened. So yeah.
All right. So, well, all right, Bodhi. So free spirit, uber cool guy.
We've spoken about Bodhi enough, don't you think?
Yeah, but he's so dreamy. I just love him.
Actually, I've got some notes about Bodhi then.
Yeah, because I know you've got a few more things to say about him.
Oh yeah. So he was actually no. Yeah, we'll stick with Bodhi for now. We'll jump back to Bodhi. We'll do our own section here. So Patrick Swayze was the first and only choice for this character. No one else was considered for the role, and he connected with the character so much. Like with his philosophies, not the bank robbing obviously, but just the way that he, thinks about the human condition and spirituality of what it means to be alive. He's a bit of an adrenaline junkie in real life as well, so he's an avid skydive enthusiast.
You can tell.
At least he was. Should have probably said at the beginning of the episode, rest in peace.
Yeah.
So Patrick Swayze. I had no idea that it was 2009 that he passed away. That seems like far too long ago. It feels like it only happened very recently.
Wow.
Yeah. No, he was 1952 to 2009. Far too young.
Yeah.
I mean, no, he really connected with this character, which will come back later on in the episode as well. Which we're very excited about the date that we've chosen for this film to appear on the movie calendar. But no, avid skydiver. In fact, so much so that when he was brought onto this film, the producers were like, "You have to stop skydiving because we can't insure you if you do it." It's like whilst we are filming the movie, you can't skydive. And so he negotiated and said, "Well, look, I'll do that, but in return, I want to do a shot where it's me going out of the plane." And they agreed, and so he got to do a take of him where he's like, "Adios, amigo," and he flies out of the plane, and that one shot, it's the best shot of the film.
Yeah.
Where he goes over, like, kudos to the cinematographer for doing that, whose name is Donald Peterman, and I wrote that down because he's actually got another film that he shot that we're going to be talking about in November, which is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Which I thought was hilarious. He's also done like Men in Black and Flashdance. So yeah, he's an all-rounder.
Wow. Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
But here's the kicker for Patrick Swayze not being allowed to skydive, with the one caveat that he could do that one shot, is that every weekend that they weren't shooting, he was going skydiving. And like in secret, and not only that, he was taking the rest of the cast with him. Which is just too good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like you listen to interviews with the cast members like years on. They did a bunch of interviews, I think, in like 2006. It's like a retrospective. Must have been a 15 years later thing. Yeah. And yeah, they all talk about how, yep, he was told not to do it, but he did it, and we all went. At some point or another, we all went with him. Like even Gary Busey was like strapped to Patrick Swayze, and they like jumped out of the plane together.
Oh,
so cool.
That's awesome. He went tandem with him.
Yeah,
that's so good. Have you skydived before?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It's just cool. It's one of those things that is like, if you can muster up the courage to get in that plane, absolutely give it a go. One of the most thrilling experiences of my life. Just that. Oh, and do it from, like in Australia at least. I'm not sure what it's like in other areas of the world. There's certain tiers as to how high you can go. Yeah. I went from the highest legal one that you could, which is about a minute worth of free fall.
That's 14,000 feet, right?
I've got the certificate somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's just, it was so good, because otherwise, like the lowest legal height you go to, essentially, and what they said was, you jump out of the plane, and before you've even orientated yourself, the chute gets pulled, and then you just get to kind of glide down. So at the highest legal height you can go, you jump out, and you fly for like a minute.
Yep.
And then the cord gets pulled and you float down. So highly recommend doing it that way if you're ever going to do it. Go from the highest one because it is just
so cool.
Awesome. I did it over Byron Bay on my
beautiful.
birthday one year, and it was so gorgeous. It was a bit overcast that day, so we went through the clouds, and on the other side of the clouds was just the most gorgeous beach coastline. Oh, it was unreal.
Oh,
where did you do it?
I did it in... It was in New South Wales in Australia here in the... I can't remember. Cessnock, which is an area near,
I know
near
Cessnock,
the Hunter
yeah.
Valley.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was a bit of an overcast day. So when we jumped, we were above the clouds, and then we flew through the clouds.
And you got like wet on your face.
Yeah, it was actually like tiny little ice crystals, little shards hitting my face. And
did you have the guy or girl strapped to your back?
Yeah.
Did they like cover your face when you went through?
No.
Oh,
I was just in awe of the sensation, and I was grinning so profusely and so hard. Like I don't know. I think I still have all my wisdom teeth. I think I was smiling so hard my wisdom teeth were exposed. Yeah. That I don't know if it hurt or not. I just remember it was like little shards of ice, and then all of a sudden, poof, through the clouds,
opens up. Yes,
and you could see the ground, and I'm glad we were still quite high up because it would have freaked the devil out of me. But it was just amazing. It was incredible. Yeah, I wanted to take my wife a number of years ago. We actually bought skydiving, and unfortunately, the place where we went, they forgot about us. We actually just sat waiting patiently. That we checked in and everything. We'd paid. And we saw
rude.
people driving in and going up. And I saw 2 people go, and I just went up and said, hey, were they booked before us or something? And they said, oh, no. Are you waiting for someone? I said, yeah, remember, I spoke to you. And I went, oh, we're actually closed for the day now.
Oh.
And they were booked up. We booked this like a month ahead. We didn't do it. Didn't do it. I wanted to take my wife, so she hasn't done it. I don't know if she can do it now. Her back's not in a good way, so I actually feel pretty bad. I'm pretty sorry for her. But yeah, maybe I don't know where we're going with technology. VR is pretty amazing, you know.
Yeah,
augmented reality. We can create an experience. Yeah,
love to do it again. See, this is one of those moments we're talking about where, like in Point Break, which we'll get back to now, because why not? Well, it'll be time coded. It'll be like Lee and Terrence's skydiving story.
There we got something to put in the comments.
Yeah, exactly.
Something to put in the description.
It's the guys talk about in the exposition scene on the beach with the surfers. You know, they talk about these moments, and we learn a lot about them. Like that literally just happened.
Yeah.
Right now with us, like
yes.
we remember this thing so vividly, and I could talk about it for such a long time because it was one of the most outstanding moments of my life. But yeah, it was so funny that like the insurance company wouldn't insure Patrick Swayze for skydiving, yet they were fully on board with him learning how to surf, which. Like, he almost died like 6 or 7 times in the water learning how to surf.
Patrick?
Because he was just on waves. Yeah, because he was just on waves that he had no business being on because they were just far too big for an amateur surfer. Yeah, like he'd surfed before, but like not good enough to ride the waves that were shown in the film.
Was he on any of them? I know when they were doing the first
he did a few shots.
Him.
He's like, I wanted to get good enough so that I could get on the wave, and then they could cut to the stunt double who, you know, the professional surfer.
Yeah.
He never referred to his stunt double as a stunt double because he just refuses to have one. He wants to do them all himself. So he cuts to the professional surfer.
Yeah, cool. That's all right. And that was great. The way they introduced him, the move he did, I don't know what it's called, but when he was in his tube, but doing that kind of turn. Lay back on I love that. That was so good. In
the tube.
Yeah, it was nice.
That's cool. I've never done that.
Such a cool move. There was when they did that night surfing. The night surfing scene was a bit like the old spaghetti western, just put a blue
So
filter
dangerous.
over it and everything, but to make it look like
Yeah.
it was nighttime. But it was so cool, just the thought of going out. I've only been to the beach once at night, like been in the surf once at night, and I was
It's so scary.
scared to death.
Yeah.
I'll never
It's
ever
where
do it
you
again.
you really understand the power of Mother Nature
Oh,
when you go
man.
into the surf and you can't see.
can't
it's
see?
just terrifying.
You forget how much you rely on the opacity of the water, and also
Yeah.
you hear waves roaring, but you can't see them. And I totally forgot that. I was with a couple of friends at least, and we didn't go deep, but man, it was freaky. So watching them go out on this surf, they pull the cars up and shine their headlights out at least. But whew,
Yep.
what a great bonding experience.
Yeah, it's super cool. And like I know people who have done that. I was apparently in my right mind enough as a teenager to not do anything like that. Did other stupid things instead, but not that one. That's too much.
Yeah, that's nuts. That was nuts, and they were big waves too. I mean, they didn't
Yep.
they didn't actually do it at night. That's the nice thing about it. But
Yeah, I was going to say there must have been the biggest full moon that has ever full mooned.
Yeah.
Because it was lit quite nicely.
it was, and I think that would have been a composited shot as well when they lined up the cars on the beach. The camera is really high up above the vehicles, looking from behind them, and you see the surf. And there's a nice line of in the sand. You're like, yeah, those waves are really big to be crashing that close to the sand. But I think that was done quite nicely. Like you had to really think, hang on, that doesn't look right. But if you weren't too savvy with it, I think they did an all right job.
Yeah. No, it was perfect. They got away with it, especially
Yeah.
for the early 90s.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's all right, we'll jump into just sort of the production of
Yeah.
this film, because there's some really cool stuff
Yeah.
that went into the making of this movie. Beginning with like the concept of it and how it even came about. So there's a producer called Rick King, and it was kind of his brainchild, where he was just sort of walking along the beach one day, and he just had this idea of, what if an FBI agent had to go undercover and become a surfer? And so it was that seed was planted, and then the second idea was he's based in LA, and there was an article that came out at some point in the mid 80s that was referring to Los Angeles as the bank robbing capital of the United States. And so he put these two things together and then hired a writer and said, I want you to write a film about an FBI agent who goes undercover to learn to surf so that he can track down bank robbing surfers. And like that's how it came about. Like it's the most 90s or like 80s 90s story for getting a movie made ever. They just had so much money, Hollywood at this point, they just like throw it at whatever's gonna stick.
Just slap it together. Here are some cool ideas.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, they hired a writer who was kind of going through a few different script iterations, and then it was picked up by Ridley Scott. And oh my god, my dog's getting a sip of water. I'm so sorry.
Come on, Oscar.
Classic. Oscar, you're not that thirsty. He's staring at me like, what are you talking about?
He's like my kids as soon as it's bedtime. Oh, I need to drink some milk now. What?
Yeah.
Some chocolate milk.
Classic.
What?
Classic fur child. Good boy, Crate. Go to bed. Good boy. Sorry about that, everyone. We'll keep it in. Why not? And so, yeah, it got picked up by Ridley Scott, which is huge, and Columbia Pictures, which is amazing. And then, like, 5 months went by, and they got, like, the script almost finalized. They were building sets, and then overnight, classic Hollywood story, they shut down the production, stripped the sets away, it's not going ahead anymore. And there it sat for 4 years with nothing happening, which happens all the time. Films sort of go into production and then fall apart at the last minute. Constantly, there's lots of stories about it. But yeah, this one is worth a mention. And then, yeah, 4 years later, along comes James Cameron and Kathryn Bigelow, and they kind of revived the project. Kathryn comes on as director. They get Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze, the whole cast, and then they make this film. And I thought that was that's sort of an interesting story as to how it got its start.
Yeah. Were Kathryn Bigelow and James Cameron married at that stage?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they were Hollywood power couple.
Yeah. Wow. When was Titanic made?
Oh, 97?
Oh, okay, a number of years after. Okay.
Was it?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm not sure when they separated, but it was probably around the time of whenever Hurt Locker and Avatar came out,
okay.
because they came out the same year, and then they battled each other in the Best Picture category at the Academy Awards.
As
And,
divorcees.
The Battle of the Exes. It was kind of shown as, which was so funny.
It's not funny.
No, well, not funny, obviously, but
It's funny.
to the layman.
Lee, it's funny.
Yeah. All right.
Wow. So that's cool. I'm glad it finally got made.
Yeah, so they got it made, and they obviously did an incredible job with it. Became super successful. This movie was absolutely massive. But yeah, I talked about the Pogo Cam. I teased it, but I didn't mention because we got derailed by another story, which is classic, the movie calendar stuff. It wasn't actually Patrick Swayze during the foot chase scene. It was his stunt double, as much as he doesn't like that term.
Professional parkour runner before parkour exists.
Because he was doing press for Ghost.
Oh.
Ghost? Yeah, it was Ghost. He was
Sounds
doing
about
press
right.
for. So he was on the press junket, and he couldn't come out for filming. So they just, luckily the character is wearing a mask, and so they put the mask on his stunt double, and that whole foot chase is done without Patrick Swayze, which I think is super fun. It was ruined for me, and now it's ruined for everyone else.
Very
and
smart.
like Patrick, when he saw the film, he's like, I was super upset that I didn't get to do it, but it's probably better off for it. That looks really good.
Oh, that's good. He probably would have hurt himself.
Maybe.
There was this part in it where Johnny grabs some garden ornament and chucks it through the glass window to jump through it because Bodhi runs into the house and locks the door.
Awesome.
I'm like,
so cool.
That is, what's really good about that is now when you see chase scenes, no one does that. No one shuts doors behind them. No one locks doors unless they're let's say a victim or a weaker character. Oh, that was a fly. A weaker character where they're scared for their life. They'll make an effort to lock the door. And when you as a viewer see someone lock the door, you hope they're safe now behind that door, but you know that they're going to bust it down. Here, this is the villain locking the door, taking time to lock the door.
He's got that smirk on his face. He's like sucked in. I've locked the door,
Yeah.
and then so like showing his ingenuity as well, and then just Utah being like not phased, smashed through.
These poor people's houses that they're just
I know. Oh yeah,
just
a lot of collateral
ransacking.
damage.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, that was a great scene.
Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, I love the fact that it's not Patrick Swayze. A lot of the stunts and the fighting. James Cameron and Kathryn Bigelow went up to like the stunt team and were like, "Can we have the actors do their own fighting?" And the stunt coordinator was like, "I mean, yeah, I guess we'll hold like workshops, and if people turn up, then we can use them. If they don't turn up, then we can't." And so everybody turned up for training, sort of fight training, except for one actor. And it's Anthony, is it Kiedis?
Yeah, Kiedis
From the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Yeah. So he was the only cast member that didn't turn up for his like fight training. And so the stunt coordinator, as like a bit of a middle finger to him, choreographed one of the fights so that his character, because I can't use you. You don't know how to fake fight. So he choreographed it so that he was like the first one to get hit, and he got knocked out, and then that was it. Like there was nothing else that happened. And so after that scene, which isn't actually in the film, he just did it as I know how to motivate you. After they did that, he was so upset that he came to the training every single time and then got to be in the fight scenes.
Yeah. Ah, good. Yeah, I was thinking, hang on, he is in the fight scene at that the beach shower.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he has a starring knockout knockout. He gets punched and he's rolling out from behind the bushes, isn't he? And then
Yes,
runs
correct.
back in to join the fight. That's where Papa sees him through his secret spy, no one can tell I'm a cop, binoculars.
Yeah. Very inconspicuous.
Leaning out of a car window, actually leaning out on a main road at a public beach. But yeah, that was cool. That was actually really nice to see him. And actually, I didn't recognize him back in the day. I was a child
same.
myself, but knowing in the later years, I listened to a bit of Chili Peppers as I was going through school, and to know that was him was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was unreal. I've got one more cool thing from the production of this, which is more easily picked up on, and I think this is more of a general knowledge. But if you didn't know, the scene at the very end of the film where they're on Bell's Beach in the rain was actually a pickup. So that was shot 6 months after the initial wrap, and in that time, Keanu Reeves went and shot Bill and Ted 2, and so his hair was longer. And Patrick Swayze went to India to shoot a film as well and had cut his hair. And luckily for them, enough time had passed, like in the film, that it actually worked for the characters. Like, you know, Johnny Utah's FBI agent has kind of become a little bit more carefree and, you know, in touch with his, you know, humanity and in his spirit. So he's kind of let his hair go out a bit. And Patrick Swayze, he's been on the run. So like Bodhi would have cut his hair a little bit to try and be a bit more inconspicuous. So like it fit, but yeah, that whole bit was shot 6 months after they'd initially wrapped.
Oh, that's cool. I'd like to think that Bodhi got his hair cut. He was dressing for the occasion. He decided to, you know, he probably had a dinner suit under his wetsuit there as well.
Getting ready for after he'd got his big 50-year storm.
Yeah.
That he'd go out in a nice tuxedo afterwards. He doesn't seem like the tuxedo type, if I'm honest, unless he's robbing a bank.
Yeah, they were, what was it, 27 banks in 3 years or something like that. They never shot anyone, did they? It wasn't
no.
There were no body count. So it was
part of his character is he just like he hates violence. He doesn't like violence.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the big dog, right? That was what he said. So you had to show that you're aggressive, but just to instill fear, just enough to make them scared. So they would throw someone to the floor, but they would never
make them docile.
Never shoot anyone until Johnny comes into the world. Johnny disrupts everything. It's only when he comes in and they get close to getting caught that there starts to be a body count, and not just them, cops. Was there any bystanders that were hurt? I think it was... Yeah.
I think the cop and the security guard, like people at the airport and stuff were killed afterwards. Like there was a body count. I think the body count for the film is 10. I read that it was 10. I don't know who they all are.
And that's actually a good Pappas line as well. He says, like last time you had a hunch, I ended up shooting a guy, or I ended up murdering someone. Because I don't like doing that. It's bad for my paperwork.
Yeah, it gives me too much paperwork.
Yeah, such an old cop. But yeah, it's nice that they don't do this. It almost has a Robin Hood feel. Rob from the rich give to the poor, except the rich aren't rich, they're just the everyday, but it's insured money. It's money that they know doesn't hurt anyone if it goes missing. And the poor aren't the poor, they're just surfers that don't want to work for the man. So they'll enjoy the money how they see fit.
Yeah,
it's nice. And in that diatribe, the dialogue, you know, the people in their steel coffins driving to work. You know, I've
got that whole quote written down for What About When. Spoilers for that. It's one of my favourite lines in the entire film.
Oh, good. All right. Well, I can't wait to hear it, because I always get my quotes just a little bit wrong, that it's very annoying. I had total flashes of Tyler Durden when he was saying that.
Huge vibes.
Real parallels with the whole idea of this film and that of Fight Club as well.
Yeah.
Fight Club. Very excited.
Very much so. Very much so.
You know, so it was really nice to see that and have that realization of what this film actually means on a bigger scale as well.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I'll throw in my fun bit of trivia here before we move into What About When. Does that sound good?
Yeah, okay.
So the fun bits of trivia that I found, and this would have been absolutely planned from the script phase, I would have imagined. But the ex-presidents themselves are all killed in the order that the president served in the office.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Which I thought that's a nice little fun nod that I didn't realise, so I thought I'd throw it in.
Yes, very interesting. Very interesting. Oh, you know what? We didn't talk... We don't have to go into detail, but we do have to give props, I think, to Laurie Petty. Laurie, who played Tyler. You know, I was killing myself trying to realise where I recognise her from, and I
Free Willy.
watched... I don't remember that. That was a long time ago for me that I watched that. Orange is the New Black. She's...
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh, she's one of the key characters in that. I think came in the second or third season. But I had no idea at all. I also thought it was funny that she's this surfer chick, but she's got short black hair. It's totally goes
against type.
Yeah,
They originally had in the script for her to be more of that stereotypical kind of, you know, blonde hair, blue eyed, you know, beach babe of a character, and then another Kathryn Bigelow decision to be like, no, we'll mix it up and we'll get someone who's going to be more interesting.
You think that's what it was?
That if you
just
to
not have to go with the stereotype.
Yeah, subvert the expectation. Like, she's a strong character. She knows what she wants. I don't like the relationship between her and Johnny, just by the simple fact that it's just based on such a huge lie, like that just doesn't sit right with me.
I didn't like.
I don't know how to fix that.
I didn't like that he went straight in for that. You know,
but like I understand it from like an FBI agent perspective. Like, cool, that's me, and that's how we do it. Like, that's where the motivations are at that point, and he does change, but I still think that it's a close to unforgivable sin. Like, there's no coming back from that. And like, her reaction when she finds out is you know, I completely understand and empathize, where she's like got the gun on him.
Well, she shoots
in
the pillow, right?
She's just freaking out, shoots the pillow, and is like, "You're such a liar. I bet your parents are still alive." And then he kind of tells her everything, and she just leaves. Which, yes, good. Like, get out of there. Very appropriate reaction.
We don't see her anymore.
The kid.
After that,
no, we do
the kidnapping.
she got kidnapped, and so she becomes the catalyst for the motivation for him to you know,
do
track
the robbery.
down. To do the robbery and then stick with Bodhi until he can get her back.
But we don't see her after that, do we? Oh
so she gets released. Her. She gets released out of the Jeep, and she's wearing the white nightgown, and she runs into his arms, and she's obviously she's been super scared. After what she's been through, so I understand that she sort of runs into his arms, but there's always a bit of me that's like, ugh, he doesn't deserve you.
I agree with you. You know, if he went through this change, he should have mentioned something to her earlier, especially when he already knew this was a bad situation. There should have been something. I mean, I'm no FBI agent, I'm no special agent Utah, so I don't know what to do. But it irked me as well. It really did.
Yep. That's fair. Like, it's irksome, so I completely get that.
Irksome.
Yes. Yeah. That's a word, I'm sure it is.
I think it is. Look, there are a few more things that I think I'm going to mention as we finish up or get into the tail end, or the tail half of our... not tail half, tail end. We've been going for a little while already. Just...
this is good.
Just chatting. Let's do What About When's.
Awesome. I'm very keen. So we'll jump in to our world famous segment of hashtag What About When, episode 22 for Point Break. I've mentioned a couple already in the larger episode, so if you listen to these during the whole episode, you'll know what some of them are. But if you want to contribute to this segment, the best way to do it is through Twitter and Instagram. We are at the Movie Cal. Use the hashtag What About When so that we can find it. Get it in before we record, and then we'll be able to read it out, and it'll pop up on the screen here as well. For this week, Terrence, do you have any What About Whens?
I do. I don't have any from Instagram, no, but I have some.
That's fine. I've got 4.
Okay, cool. I always
4
say I've got like 2 or 3, and then I say a couple more afterwards anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm just...
Let's smash it. Do you want to kick us off?
Yes. We mentioned him before, Anthony Kiedis, but what about when there's that bit where the raid happens on the bad surfer dudes, the ones that are like gun running or whatever they're doing, the real bad ones. And during that raid, Anthony Kiedis' character shoots himself in the foot.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
how graphic
It's so
that
gruesome.
was. Yeah, that was... I was
His
quite
reaction as well.
unexpected. Yeah, and he's screaming
Brutal.
and flailing about through the whole thing. Yeah, that's my first what about when.
Yeah, it's a good one. I've got hashtag what about when they're staking out the bank, this Pappas in Utah, Gary Busey and Keanu Reeves are staking out the bank, and Pappas is really hungry, and so he asks Utah to get him a couple of meatball sandwiches. Make sure you get me 2, Utah. I need 2 meatball sandwiches. And then gets out of the car, leans out the window. Utah, give me 2. It's one of the most iconic lines of the entire film. So many people who love this movie say it on a very regular basis. I'm one of them. We went through our what about whens before we started recording, and I said this was my first one to Terrence, and he's like, wait, what's that bit?
Sorry.
I'm throwing you under the bus.
Yeah, sorry. I still, even now, I kind of get when it was in the film. Yeah, I guess he said that. I guess I'll believe you.
Iconic. It's got to be in like the top 250 like quoted movie lines of all time. It's got to be in there.
I think that scene irks me nearly as much as the whole idea of him lying to Tyler. It's just, why during a stakeout when you know there is a bank robbery about to happen? You know, hey partner, go get me a meatball. What? Come on. And then it was beautiful how when he's ordering, you see over the shoulder, turn around.
It's gorgeous.
Turn
So much
around
fun.
behind you. Yeah, that was nearly going to be a what about when. Well, you know what? Hey, what about when Johnny Utah's ordering these sandwiches and the dead presidents come out of
You see
the
the heist going on.
You see it.
Yeah.
Classic cartoon.
When did the car park there? What car? And you see him run out. Oh my god.
Yeah, was it a Lincoln?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Actually, does he say the Lincoln?
I
Did
don't
you say
know
that
what
Lincoln
sort of
turn
car
up?
it is. Probably.
I'm going to say Lincoln, another dead president. Or is it ex-presidents, right? Not dead presidents, ex-presidents.
The ex-presidents, yeah.
Yeah, I reckon it's Lincoln. I'm going to say it's Lincoln. It's another one.
Yeah.
And Lincoln is the first to... No, he's not the first to die. I'm going to say because they torched the car. No, one of the other guys.
Abraham Lincoln isn't one of the ex-presidents, the masks that's used.
No, I know, but he's the car. Anyway, all right. Another what about when. My what about when also relates to that that house raid scene, because when Johnny Utah is peering in through the window just to scope out where they are, you see in the background there's a lady in the shower. So my what about when is what about when the naked lady from the shower takes out 2 FBI agents on her own? First one barehanded, she just belts him and he is out, and the second one she stabbed him. And he is out as well. So she killed... I'm guessing she killed him. No, maybe not.
Who knows?
Maybe just injured him. But she's just... she's like, what? All these guys...
Regular viewers and listeners of the Movie Calendar podcast will know that I'm a huge advocate for strong female characters in cinema. This isn't exactly what I mean when I'm referring to it. But not a bad start for the early 90s, I guess.
Arguably, she was the most... prepared in that entire household. They had heavy artillery flying around. They were passing these automatic weapons to each other, these little cannons and grenade launchers, whatever they were, and shooting at FBI agents. Nothing hitting. Actually, I think a few people did get killed. But she comes out and she's just... Yeah. Good on you, naked shower lady.
All of your what about when's going to be this house raid related? Because that would be hilarious.
No.
I've got
No.
I've got a what about when that we spoke about earlier, and it's what about when Patrick Swayze's Bodhi jumps out of the plane and it's actually him, where the camera follows him out and down. It's stunning. The best shot of the entire film.
In that one shot. That's really cool.
Yeah, he got asked questions in interviews for years after this movie came out about that scene and how they did it and like, oh, how did they do the shot of you in the plane and then to the stunt double? And he's like, it's like, bro, it was me. I did that.
So cool. So cool.
It's awesome.
I wonder if they insured him for that. They would have if it was on camera.
I mean, they would have had to for the
they
one.
could use that.
Even though he was doing skydives for literally the entire shoot when he shouldn't have been.
How good was when he jumped? I don't know if it was that one or if it was the first one that they all did together. When he jumps out and he's in this perfect, I think it's a pike. I don't know where his legs are straight out and he grabs his calves and he's just folded like this. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. That's the first jump that he does that.
That was just so cool. That's the one where they know that Johnny knows who they are, right? And they take him up skydiving to freak him out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. No, that's where the cat and mouse starts. That was really cool. Okay, that's a good what about when. My next what about when is very similar. In fact, it's right after that happens. It's when Johnny Utah runs and jumps out of the plane with no parachute on.
No parachute, yeah.
Whoa, that was great. That was great.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm going to say that I saw an interview with Keanu and he said that was all me. And it was a real plane. I'm going to say it. It didn't happen. Don't believe it.
No, that is not true.
How awesome would that be?
Stop filling the podcast with your lies, Terrence.
How awesome would that be?
This is a place where people come for true information for the most part. Sometimes we make things up.
Privet. Keanu, if you see this...
It's probably very easily...
I know you've seen our John Wick episode. When you watch this, you're going to have to, comment on our Instagram. Tell us you didn't jump out of the actual plane. Otherwise,
they did do tests to see whether someone could catch up like that.
Yeah, I reckon they could.
And they can.
Yeah.
So that was believable. A couple of unbelievable things with the skydiving is one of them is the talking, which Terrence and I know because we've both been skydiving. You cannot talk.
Yeah, because you're smiling too hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the pure adrenaline just takes over and your voice box stops working. It's science. It's biology. It happens.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. I mean, they're screaming a little bit, but yeah, it's very hard to hear.
You can't hold a conversation in free fall. I'm sorry, you're going way too fast.
Unless the head is right next to you. Like when I was tandem, I could scream at the guy and he could scream into my ear. Yeah, you're right. But that's the night surfing didn't happen. I don't think. No.
Some of it might. They might have had the professional surfers out there. It
would have been dark, but it went very oddly blue, and that's a turn day to night technique. I think I've got another one. It's not one that we went through, but okay, ready? What about when production decides to not use Australians to deliver Australian lines? What about that? And I'm hoping I'm right, because if that was an Aussie guy that delivered this line that I'm about to butcher, I'll be very upset with that actor. It's at the end. It's when the cops run onto the beach to catch Bodhi. And I don't know, did Keanu bring them? I don't know, because Keanu walks down onto the beach and then all the cops run down. And Keanu undoes the handcuffs and lets Bodhi go out. And the coppers come up and they go, you let him go. It's you let him go, not you let him go. It was totally not an Australian person that said that.
I don't know if the police officers were Australian or not. But the surfers that they pass
that was
on the way
that's
in.
That's actually a what about when as well.
Where they're like, no one's getting it out there, mate. It's closed out or whatever the line is.
Yeah. Well,
he is Australian.
Yeah, that's Peter Phelps.
Yes,
that's Peter Phelps. That's a great line. I wrote that one down too. I can't remember where it is. But he goes, yeah, no one's been in, no one's going in, no one's coming out. Does he say something about a dog's breakfast? No. I don't know. He says something very Australian, and I can't remember what it is. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. It's a huge line. He goes, here we go. He goes, no one's been out. No one's going out. Got to be effing crazy, man. Death on a stick out there, mate.
Death on a stick. That's it. That's the Australian vernacular that I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a little what about when as well. I was going to chuck that in there.
Yeah, that was good. My last what about when, which I alluded to a little bit earlier, is the scene around the fire where they know that Johnny is an FBI agent. They're trying to discuss what they're going to do with him, and Bodhi's like, this just raises the stakes. They're like, it's of the game. Like, it's not a game for any of us, man. This is our lives. Like, it's only a game to you. And he goes on his beautiful monologue, which I wish I knew off my heart, so it was a bit more natural for me to say, but I've got it written down, so I'm going to read it.
Read it. I'll close my eyes.
Except for the last bit, because I ran out of paper to write the last bit on, but I think I'll be able to remember it.
Memorize.
But he says, look, it was never about the money for us. It was about us against the system, that system that kills the human spirit. We stand for something. To those dead souls inching along the freeway in their metal coffins, we let them know that the human spirit is alive. And like, it gets me every time, because just that line about those dead souls in their coffins, metal coffins on the freeway, is just, that's real. That's some real stuff right there.
Yeah, when you see traffic, you just look at the people in those cars and you realize you are one of those people. Ugh. What are we doing?
You're trapped in a system, and a lot of you don't even know it.
Yeah, it's a thing that people have, right? It's almost it's an addiction. It's a form of addiction where you need this stimulus,
rules and confinements,
exterior stimulation to make you feel like you're alive.
Oh yeah, it's the opposite of what I'm thinking of.
Yes, it is. No, but it's because you feel confinement. It's because you feel it. It's only when you realize there's something out there, when you look outside of your steel coffin and you have someone like Bodhi to help you realize this, that you get addicted to this. And for Johnny Utah, it was surfing. And he needed that, and he kept it up all of his life. You know, after that, I would imagine.
Really opens your eyes.
Yeah.
It's going to lead... This film is going to lead super well into next week's episode about Fight Club.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parallels between Bodhi and Tyler Durden.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The ability to shut off, a little bit of a split personality thing going on there. Lack of empathy.
I would have loved to have seen a young Patrick Swayze play Tyler Durden in Fight Club. That would have been so good. I mean, Brad Pitt crushes it, and he is amazing. Not taking anything away from that performance. We're gonna talk about that next week. We're gonna talk about that next week.
Next week.
Make sure you get in your hashtag what about whens and ideas for dates on the movie calendar for that one. Please and thank you.
Yeah. Oh, what about when he chucks his badge into the water of this roaring sea? And it's like a puddle
and
that
it's like
they
like a pond,
and you hear the splash. A bloop.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was actually raining when they filmed that last fight scene.
Oh, no idea.
I don't know, but it was pretty cool. That was cool. I don't know. I got lots of notes, but I don't think I'm going to say any more notes.
We absolutely didn't cover everything in this film, but that's okay. Let us know what we missed out in the comments below, or send us a tweet or hit us up on Instagram. Let us know that we didn't talk about your favorite bit, or let us know if you learned something. I certainly did looking into this film this last week. I learned so much, and it gave me more of an appreciation for it. So hopefully the same has happened to you after listening to this.
Yeah, I do too.
Good. And now we're going to give you a date of the year that you can watch. I almost said Fight Club because my head is in next week apparently already. That you can watch Point Break every single year.
Yeah. Right.
Now we had a few different ideas for this one. One of which I think is a really good idea, but we just couldn't find out enough information about this particular thing to do a definitive date, which is a bit of a shame. Yeah. But Terence, do you have the information in front of you to be able to go through that?
Just a little bit, and it was fairly new. Researching what we could put this on, so we just kind of found this, stumbled across it. The 50-year storm is pivotal in this film. It's the thing that Bodhi is chasing. So I thought, well, let's look for this. It turns out in Victoria, here in Australia, there is a surfing invitational competition that has been organised, and it's called the Bells Beach 50-Year Storm Invitational in memory of Sean Brooks. Now, Sean Brooks was a pro surfer.
A young surfer, yep.
Much loved. He was a local to Bells Beach, and he loved surfing big waves. He unfortunately passed due to suicide a number of years ago, I think 2012. In 2017, one of his best friends decided to create this surfing competition, this contest. And I thought, let's choose the date that this contest runs. But this, you could imagine, it's not going to be set in stone because it's a big wave contest, and they have to have a window.
And it's such a new thing.
Yeah, it's fairly new as well. But I thought this would have been kind of good. But the last 3 years, I haven't been able to run it, and it's been tricky to find an actual date. But I wanted to mention it. I think it's moved from like May through to August, so it's a really hard one to lock in. I did want to mention it.
We'll say as well that the invitational as well is to raise money and awareness for young men's mental health, which is an incredible thing to do because it's not spoken about enough. And it's a really good cause. So what we'll do is in the description of this episode, we'll send a link to their website or Facebook page or Instagram or whatever it is that they have.
Yeah, I think they haven't. The Instagram
so
is probably the
donate
best.
to them if you want. But because they don't have like this annual event, which absolutely should be a thing, it's not quite set in stone because it's so new. We'll give them some recognition there.
So
but as far as the date on the movie calendar is concerned, we didn't have
else.
anything that we could concrete put in with that one. But absolutely worth a shout.
Yeah, definitely for raising awareness for mental health and youth suicide. So I think let's link to their Instagram. Go research it. It's the 50-Year Storm Invitational in memory of Sean Brooks. So that was a close second to what we're going to do now.
Yeah, so the date that we have chosen for this one is going to be September 14th. And the reason why we've chosen that date is in a similar vein to the 50-Year Storm Invitational. This is actually the date that is the anniversary of Patrick Swayze's death. Very untimely passing. And so because he connected with his character so much in this film, you watch him in interviews and you can tell how much love and appreciation he had for the making of this movie. And it just stayed with him in a way that certain films do with certain actors. And so, as a celebration of his life and this character, we want to put Point Break on September 14th in celebration of Patrick Swayze's life.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's good. I'm glad that it is in a similar vein, a bit of a memorial, a memorandum to him. What a great role, a great character for him to play and to live on with many of his other ones. But this is a cool one on our calendar. This is his legacy. Yeah,
the celebration of life that Bodhi has. I think we deemed it appropriate for it to appear on this day. So you can celebrate along with him on this date with this film as well, if you so choose.
Yeah, nice, cool date.
Right. Yeah, thanks. I think so too. It's a good idea. Now, as far as next week's film, we know what it's going to be. We announced it last week during the Get Out episode as to what our entire slate of films is going to be for the month of November, which is, hang on, I can do this. We've got Fight Club.
Yes.
We've got Planes, Trains and Automobiles.
Yes.
Bit of a departure. And The Goonies, one of my favourite childhood movies. Can't wait to talk about all of those movies. And we did also announce that we've got something really special lined up for December. So we're going to put a tease for that in right here. And we're going to do it in each of those episodes that I just mentioned then of Fight Club, Planes, Trains and Automobiles and The Goonies. We're going to just tease a little bit as to what we're going to do in December. We mentioned during the Get Out episode that we had been planning this December event before we even filmed episode 1, Parasite. Like, before we started the podcast, we're like, oh, how good of an idea would this be? So the teaser is, and it's just a small one, just a little taste. They'll get bigger, trust me. is that the month is going to be themed. Almost seems a little bit anticlimactic, but yeah, the entire month of December is going to be all the four episodes are going to be linked together in a theme. So we'll leave you with that.
We can't give the theme?
No, because that gives away the premise.
Fine. Whatever. You and your story arcs, and we need to get the things right? Okay, fine.
Yep. So we haven't finalised... That's it. That's all you get. No more talking on air about that.
I'm trying.
I'll say too much because I love talking.
Everyone watching and listening, I'm trying for you. I'm trying. What does it start with, Lee? What does it start with?
You're not gonna get it. Stop it. Stop enabling this behaviour. I'm not appreciating
The
it.
good people of the world want to know, and they have the right.
Yeah, all of our 5 or 6 listeners. That's fine.
That was good.
They'll find out soon.
I could be the next Batman. Did you hear that? I don't know if you heard that. I'm not doing it again.
Oh, you should. No, I didn't hear it. Sorry.
Not happening. Not happening. Not happening.
Ah, damn it. No, I did hear it.
You know what? I'm gonna. I don't know if we'll end on this. We'll end shortly after this. Another Aussie that's not an Aussie quote. Straight away after he said that big, "You let him go." He goes, "We'll get him when he comes back in." It's meant to be "we'll get him when he comes back in." So straight up when he says that, Johnny Utah's walking away. He's not coming back. Oh yeah.
And it was such a good episode leading up to this. We were doing so well. It was like I was really proud.
Not coming back. That's my Batman.
Now here we are. That's your Batman.
My Batman.
Oh my god. All right. Thank you everybody for listening. I normally say thank you to Terrence for recording, but
I'm the derailer of derailers.
The first hour and 22 minutes were great.
What a wonderful episode.
Yeah, no, thank you everyone.
Enjoyed talking
Point Break is going to appear on the movie calendar on September 14th. Thank you, Terrence. Thank you, everybody.
Cool.
And we'll see you next week for Fight Club.
Cool. See you later.
Bye, everyone. We didn't say the I am an FBI agent line.
Do it quick.
Bodhi, this is your wake-up call, man. I am an FBI agent!